welcome to the video, and in this video I'm going to try and repair a wooden paramotor propeller. So as some of you already know, I'm on a journey at the moment into powered paragliding or paramotoring. So I've done about 2 months of training now, self-taught. You can follow my journey on some of the other videos if you just look through. And this is where I made my first mistake. So I'm at the point where I had to hang the paramotor to get the thrust angle right. Long story short, watch this. I was gutted at the time, but hey hey. There's nothing I could do. The wood that was holding me up snapped, came crashing down. Didn't hurt nothing apart from the ego and this prop. So the plan is I'm basically going to repair this, which is a crack from here running down to here. The biggest problem I'm going to face is whether this is going to hold while it's spinning round at the revs that it does. Now I don't want to bore anyone too much with like rambling on, as I always do, so let's get straight to what I'm going to do. Okay, so as you've already seen, this is the crack. Now this folds open, I can actually pull that apart. Can bring that all the way across, and I've got a bit of flex on that. So the plan is to open this up using my bicarbonate of soda and super glue. So I'm going to basically pour this in, sprinkle a little bit of magic dust on it and hold it just to get it roughly back to the shape that it needs to be at. I'm then going to get a Dremel this all down and cut a V into it, repeat the process. Once that's set, I'm going to do it on the back end. I'm going to mark that out, do the same V with the Dremel, pour super glue and baking soda in it, and then we'll see how it goes. Bloody hell. Okay, so I'm just going to speed this part up. All I'm doing is actually bonding the split piece of wood back to the propeller to give me some kind of idea of the shape of it. If you weren't lucky enough to just split it, then what you'd have to do is actually cut a straight edge, plane this down, and then bond a new piece of wood to it, carve out for the profile of the propeller. Well, I think we all know this is going to happen. Hello, I'm stuck, help me! Ah, there we go. Cool. Right, so super glue debonder is definitely needed. So yeah, probably best if you're going to try this, do with some gloves on. Okay, you obviously don't want to just sit here watching me sand this part for hours on end, and I've got to hurry up because the wife's meal and I'm not allowed to use the breakfast bar as a workshop. On to the flip side now. Obviously it's going to get dusty, so I'm just going to mark where the cracks are with a pen so it's easier to see. As I Dremel out, I want to see all the ink actually disappear. So I'll quickly do this. Okay, so the reason I'm hollowing out the wood and cutting in a V is the same process as welding. It actually gives a larger surface area for the glue to be able to bond to the wood. This will make for a much stronger repair. Okay, so See there? Cut out all the majority of it. This is actually where it's gone all the way through. So this marking here was slightly wrong. So this is just a plastic nylon brush. I'm going to use this just to clear up any loose debris inside the section. So again, baking powder and the super glue. Following the line that you've made with the Dremel. I'll stop about there. So before trying to repair this, I actually conducted a test and left it 24 hours for the glue to set. This was just a test with super glue on its own and also super glue with the baking powder, just to see how strong it would actually be. So as you can see, this is just the super glue. It's still very soft. That's quite a bit of effort I'm putting in, but it's still soft. The baking powder, super glue over the top, it's a lot harder. It's a lot of effort I'm putting in there. Okay, so by now you should know how to actually do this. You simply pour the super glue into whatever hole you're trying to fill, and then you just sprinkle over the baking soda and it will instantly go off and set rock solid. Just going to take the majority of this down with the Dremel. Okay, so I'm using the Dremel just to save myself some time. You can do this by hand sanding. It takes a little bit longer, but the Dremel is there, so why not use it? I'm on the external edge of the propeller, and obviously there's a curve, so you want to make sure that you don't hit any of the wood with the sanding disc. Okay, so also I've got this here. So as you can see, that has already been repaired. So what I'm thinking of doing is keeping this leading edge, but cutting this trailing edge just around where my thumb is, just there. And then what I'll do is I'll repeat the same on this side, so it'll be that part that comes off. I might repair this as well. So now's the time to actually put in some real effort. I'm using 40 grit sandpaper. This is just to take the rough edge of the glue down level with the propeller. You don't want to feel any kind of bumps. It needs to be perfectly smooth. If it's not perfect, you'll get vibrations. Don't know if you can see this on the camera, but you see where this is kind of like it's got the powder in? And there, and a spot there. This is where I've missed with the super glue, or the super glue had an air bubble in it. I'm going to repeat the process with the super glue, baking soda, drop it in, and that should be good to go. So that now is perfectly smoothed in. I'm now going to V this side. So again, run my marker pen, run my pen along where the crack is. just saw me stress test it and I cracked it. So it cracked there. Let's get a point onto this. It cracked there, but my super glue line is actually back here. That just goes to show that this is actually stronger than the wood itself. So I'm going to carry on with this and see how it goes. Okay, so if you remember, this basically had a chip out of it, and that's how I bought it. So I've rounded this off as well. So what I'm going to do is Dremel this out, so that curves the same as that. That should give the same airflow and keep the weight pretty much balanced. And I'm also going to do something about this part here. You can actually see that. There. There's a little nick out of it, so I'm going to fix that as well. So because this is a nick repair, it's going to need a few more coats, so what I'm going to do is just build it up, a bit more pressure on, just try and work on that area that's raised. So I've actually taken the varnish off from this side, so that means I'm perfectly level there. Perfect. So that is how you repair a propeller. Okay, so the only thing left to do now is to varnish it. I've rubbed it down with an 80. I'm now going over with a 240. So while we're watching me sand down the propeller, let's just watch me falling over a few more times. And then tack cloth, just to get rid of all the little bits of dust. I've already checked to see whether this is balanced prior to actually painting it. It's a few grams heavier on one side, so all I'm going to do is I'm actually going to allow for this when I'm spraying. First of all, I'll give it a light coat, and I'll leave that to dry for about 4 to 6 hours. I then give it another coat after, just to make sure that I've got everything. Okay, so I finally finished the repair to the propeller. I've rounded down the ends, I've taken that nick out, and I've glued that all back together. So, a bit unhappy about that. It looks a bit untidy, but it's strong as anything. Okay, so this is the propeller. This is the part that I repaired. Okay, so I'm just priming the fuel and start the engine up. I've sped this up to 400%. Warming the engine up just so it's at the optimal temperature to be able to deliver some power. I then check the tracking of the prop to make sure that it's tracking true, and everything seems to be good. So I'll give it a lick of power. This video was just to show that if you're down on your luck, down the field, you're falling over, you have a little tiny tube of super glue, little packet of bicarbonate of soda, and the smallest amount of 40 grit, you could get this done. To be fair, if I was down the field, I wouldn't have dremeled that all out and everything else. I would have just split it, super glued it, stuck it back on soda, and sanded down. That would have taken 45 minutes maximum just to do that, and it holds together better than the wood itself. as you can see. Exactly as it was before. It stayed together. Hope you liked the video, hope it helped someone else. If it did, give us a thumbs up. Any suggestions or any ideas, leave them in the comments section below. If you got to the end of the video, thanks for spending the time to actually watch all the way through. I think that's it. Fly safe.